Welcome back to another one of PigeonStrangler's Mechabellum gameplays. Let's begin. At the start of round 1, I decide to go with the Rhino Specialist. This comes with Fangs and Stormcallers as opening units. Currently, I like to run Scorpions instead of tanks, so I keep this in mind when setting up an opening formation. I place my Fangs in vertical rows, 9 squares apart from one another. I try to space my units out more, not only because the Scorpion has a larger footprint. It's also because having units close together is weak against Stormcaller spam, and I'm coming up against that a lot these days. I then unlock and purchase 2 units of crawlers and place them in my rear corners. From this position, they will offer me some flank protection and late arriving chaff throughout the course of the game.
Round 1. Fight!
I win round 1 and hit my opponent for 50 points. At the start of round 2, I pick up the Strike Specialist card. This card reduces the time it takes for units placed on the flanks to spawn in by 50%. This will help me to flank my opponent more effectively should the opportunity arise. But for now, I decide to purchase my first Scorpion. Scorpions can be very strong during the early rounds. As soon as my turn ends, I see my opponent has also picked up the Strike Specialist, and they intend to use it immediately. 2 units of crawlers have been placed on one of my flanks. This should be interesting.
Round 2. Fight!
I lose round 2 and over 300 health points. At the start of round 3, I'm offered an assortment of free units. I decide to pick up 5 units of level 1 arc lights. The reason for this is simple. My opponent is placing a lot of crawlers down, and the arc lights should take care of those, no problem at all. I then decide to purchase another Scorpion to help reinforce my front line. Lastly, I purchase one additional unit of crawlers. I also unlock the replicate tech to make sure my crawlers are better than the opponents. I can't allow myself to be flanked.
Round 3. Fight!
I lose round 3 and 800 health points. At the start of round 4, I pick up the improved firepower control system. I then decide to unlock and purchase 2 units of Phoenix. After leveling up some units, I need to choose a position for my Phoenix. The Phoenix can be an effective counter to Overlords, especially when they are heavily distracted by crawlers on the ground, as was the case in the last round. I've just been given a free Rhino, since that is the specialist I chose at the start of the game. I'm not sure if it'll be very useful in this matchup, but I'll give it a try. I then place the improved firepower control system onto one of my Phoenix units, which will double the amount of damage it can do. This could prove to be extremely effective against a high-health giant, such as an Overlord.
Round 4. Fight!
I lose round 4 and another 800 health points. At the start of round 5, I'm offered another selection of free units. I quickly choose a level 2 melting point. I then purchase a second melting point. Melting points are a hard counter to Overlords, so this should resolve the issues I'm having on my flanks. It's time to sell that Rhino. With the additional credits, I can pick up another unit of crawlers. As before, the crawlers are placed on my flank. I need to keep those Overlords distracted. In an attempt to give my crawlers a greater chance of success, I purchased the Level 1 defensive buff from the research center. This will provide all of my units with a 15% health boost. I also purchased the additional range and speed buffs from the command center. This should help those melting points to lock onto the overlords as quickly as possible.
Round 5. Fight!
I win round 5 and hit my opponent for over 2,500 health points. As things stand, the cards I'm offered at the start of round 6 don't seem to be useful at all. In the end, I decide to skip the cards and bank the additional 50 credits. I then spend 750 credits leveling up as many of my units as possible. With my final 200 credits, I purchase 1 unit of Phoenix.
Round 6. Fight!
I hit my opponent for over 1,700 health points and win the game. During that final round, my opponent put wasps in front of the overlords that were sitting on the flanks. This was clearly an attempt to distract my melting points. However, those wasps just ended up chasing crawlers around the board. Although it didn't work this time, I do think my opponent's flanking maneuver was rather strong. Moving forward, I'm going to give it a try myself and see if I can incorporate it into my own game. If you enjoy this content, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I intend to make a lot more of these videos in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.